Hey, hey. Hey, babe.
Hello.
I'm going to need you to
Hello.
pep
Hey,
up your
I'm
energy
sitting here thinking,
just a little bit. Whoa, you just
What if I was?
whistled.
What if I was like this all the time?
Whistle.
This is my face. Would you still love me?
No, I would not.
Is
No.
this not the resting bitch face of the guy?
No.
Not the same thing.
I don't think so, no.
What's up? I have a question for you.
Already?
Yep.
What?
You maybe heard this one. Maybe you haven't.
What?
Annie,
Yes?
would you rather eat a baby
God.
or mat a baby?
What's the matter, baby?
Oh, nothing, sweetheart. What's the matter with you?
God. How many times have you tried to tell that joke
I
and
don't know.
nobody, one cares and two gets it?
Well, first of all, when you tell it to a room of people and people are looking around like, duh. And I did pick on one person in particular who I knew I'd probably build a stump, and it was successful. So
It was successful. She definitely.
I thought it was a great dad joke.
I
but here
got
we are.
it. Is the very first time you said it.
So this is episode 14. You like to give me hell because I like to keep up with everything.
And you do. Yes,
Yep.
you do.
14 episodes. We're so happy to be
14
here. We're doing this at
episodes.
night too. We don't normally do it this
Yeah,
late.
not normally. And
I trimmed your bushes today.
Whoa.
I cut the grass today.
Hold up.
You helped trim your bush today.
Wow. Well, you know what? We needed good clips for the YouTube, so thank you very much.
Yes. No, but all jokes aside, she helped me trim the bushes and shrubs and everything this morning, and then cut the grass, and I had work in between and work after. So I'm kind of tired, but I'm here for you folks. I'm here for you, and I'm talent, so talent never takes a day off.
Why? I feel like I look so much bigger in this video than you do. Why?
Well, that's because your
Am
boobs
I
are there.
Wider?
No, but
Like what? I don't get it.
I
Like,
think-
you look smaller.
I mean, I don't-
Is this a depth perception
you are
thing?
a tad bit closer, so maybe that's what it is.
I don't like that at all. We
Your
gotta figure
boobs
that
look
out.
enormous, but you know what you got going on tonight is you have that dewy look going on, and I love me a dewy look.
I know that you enjoy the dewy look, and I'm going to practice my appreciation, babe.
Oh yeah,
Thank you.
forget about that.
I appreciate you. That compliment means the world to me.
The dewy look is like if I see a server out and she has a dewy look, I
You
will
are going
say
to comment on it for sure.
I
and
love
make
your
it
I
terribly
love your I
uncomfortable.
love your makeup. I love the dewy look, and they look at
Very
me like,
uncomfortable.
how do you know what the dewy look is? But hey, I'm Metro, whatever. So I roll with it. You're the only one that makes it uncomfortable. They appreciate it.
I don't. Do they?
I have never in my life had anybody look back at me as though they felt uncomfortable. They look like, damn, that guy just complimented me.
Would you know the look of feeling
Yes,
uncomfortable
of course
if
I
it
would.
literally smacked you in
I
the
have
face?
made plenty of people feel uncomfortable in their life. I know
Have
exactly
you?
what it looks like.
Have you?
I know exactly what it
I
looks
feel like that's not true. I don't know. Anyway, yeah. So the dewy look, which is also AKA greasy. I need to be
not,
blotted a little bit probably.
I
but
love it though.
You know what?
I think it's hot.
It's fine. It's fine. Everything's fine. No problem. It's all good. So, not a whole lot going on. I feel like we had a lot going on, but then I feel like we didn't have a whole lot going on this week. I think everybody was like so worked up
On edge.
last week because the whole hurricane.
Well,
Helena. Was it Helena?
Helene.
Helene.
Let me just tell you, if a bread company that makes honey wheat and full grain whatever, if there is a tell me you don't like my bread without telling me you don't like my bread statement, that is it.
Yes.
Because
Have a hurricane come through.
Right, you have a hurricane come through and every damn loaf of bread is gone except honey wheat and these full grown. And I'm just
I
sitting
mean, I
there
don't blame
thinking,
them. I wouldn't eat honey wheat
man,
either.
I feel bad for these companies. 'Cause
Do
I'm like,
you?
you can't even get rid of your bread during a hurricane. Golly.
I did,
But
yeah.
because a lot of it's kids though. I think the people that go in there and buy like crazy, they're wondering, they're thinking, if my power goes out for 2 days, my kids are not going to be able to live.
I
I think it's more about them than themselves. Because here's the thing, like I could go 3 or 4 days. I mean, I got some storage. You know what I mean?
I could not. No, I could not. I like to snack. I'm a snacker. So,
But you could, if shit hit the fan and it was legit, you're not going to die after not eating for 3 or 4 days.
I mean,
You're
maybe.
not.
I don't know.
You're not.
We don't know that. We really don't know that. And I'm not planning on going onto Survivor or Naked and Afraid or any of these shows that would require me to starve.
Here's the other thing I will say is
It's not for me.
come snowstorm or the snow that we get here down in Georgia, come a hurricane, we're screwed. Because your ass is not going to be proactive and go to the grocery store with everybody else. That's all there is to it. We are going to show, and then she going to get pissed. It ain't no damn butter, bread, and milk. I'm like, girl, what do you expect? You just turned me down too much.
I did, because you're like yelling into the microphone.
But anyhow,
first of all, why is it my responsibility to be proactive? Where do you carry zero responsibility in this?
We're not going to have this conversation right now. I can't hear myself at all.
I would love to have this conversation right now.
Yeah, maybe some other time. But I feel like that you are the primary on grocery store. I'm secondary on grocery store. Now, the chances are I'm going to go with you more times than not. In fact, I enjoy our grocery store time together. But also too, I'm primary on gas.
So I think you have also to worry, into I don't think are needed together.
I waited for 3 cars deep per lane to make sure you had gas. Because I'm primary on gas. I thought you
left that day.
What do you mean?
I thought you left and you were like, fuck this. I'm not waiting this long. You're just going to have to not go anywhere.
I said I can't believe this, but I even though I could believe it, but I ended up getting you gas because I'm not gonna abandon you like that. I would hope you would not want to leave me without bread and milk, but
well, you didn't have any bread, but I appreciate that. Thank you so much. Yeah. I appreciate you getting me gas. Thank you so much.
Do you have to touch your heart?
I gotta touch my heart.
I saw Lisa, one of our friends, and I walk up to her and she does like this, and I'm like, "What are you talking? Like, what are you doing?" She was like, "I'm waiting on you to compliment me so I can say I appreciate you. I appreciate that so much."
It's important. It's really important, and we were talking about that, with everybody that was over. I'm like, it's really sad that women. I don't think it's so much for men, but women have a very hard time accepting compliments. We can't just accept a compliment. We tend to want to say why we shouldn't be getting this compliment.
So annoying,
it's like.
Too.
It is annoying because you literally were just showing me this picture that's on my computer here, and you're like, "Oh, I really like the outfit." And my initial response was,
"I got to get back to that," or "I don't look the same." I
know it does. Yeah. It won't look the same. It didn't look the same like that now, and so.
So since this is a relationship podcast, I feel the need to say, if you are in if you are in a new relationship, you need to learn from this because it is a drainer. It's like a sucker.
It's a soul sucker.
It's a soul sucker.
Not a good one.
When you've been married as long as we have, you're just used to it at this point. You just kind of expect it, but it really is a soul sucker. It makes people not even want to give compliments.
That's a true statement.
Fortunately for me, I'm a complimenter. So I work right past that.
You do.
But it is annoying. So if you're in a new relationship, cut it out right now. Say thank you. If you need to think about us
Put
and
your
say,
hand over your heart. I appreciate you. Thank you so much. You don't know how much that means to me.
Yeah.
Say it over and over and over. That was my plan. But then when I went to practice it Saturday night, I could not remember what it was that I had said. So I completely fumbled it. So I think I'm going to have to write it down somewhere so I can remember it. So we have a new setup in here. We've transitioned to...
we're getting to the semi-pros.
We're slightly transitioning. So if you are watching us on YouTube, which you now can do, our first episode, first YouTube one went on YouTube. Gosh, that was really a long way to say that. It went on YouTube last week, so you can actually listen to the podcast and watch us on YouTube if you want to do that.
If you want to see what talent looks like. This is talent.
Look this direction. And so then this will be the second one. And so this one, we are facing the opposite direction that we were last week. So we're facing, and you can see the babies back there. They're tired.
They're sleeping. But we have chairs that just came in.
Yes, we have chairs. Together. Yes. So hopefully
we'll have a different direction next week.
I hope. I got to find a table to hold these microphones.
Here's the thing is we have the phone or our camera right here in front of us. And she was like, I guess I'm not going to be able to look at you while we're talking into the mic.
I can look at the camera.
All you got to do is look at the camera. I'm right here.
You're right
it just blew her mind.
It is.
Blew her mind.
But you know what? I'm mostly just looking at me.
Yeah. I actually.
And you also were looking at you.
You were over there. You stupid. I didn't realize you were over there.
Oh gosh. Yeah, it was very irritating going to the grocery store on Sunday after the hurricane Helene came through and thankfully didn't do much damage to our area. However, she did do a lot of damage to a lot of surrounding areas.
South Georgia, East Georgia, the Carolinas.
Really got hit hard with trees and power outages.
Did you tell what happened to Jackson's dad? I mean, not to like. I mean, I'm glad he's safe and everything's okay. You got to tell it.
So Jackson's dad
lives in South Carolina.
He lives in South Carolina. Anyway, Jackson calls me, I guess, whatever day the hurricane was supposed to happen, Saturday, I suppose, and tells me, everything's good. They didn't have any issues. I'm like, cool, we didn't either. He's like, well, my dad did. I'm like, what are you talking about? He said, well, he was. They weren't supposed to get any damage whatsoever. And so his dad kept calling and making sure like they were prepared and whatever.
For the apocalypse and everything else.
Everything's going to be good. And they didn't do anything to prepare. Well, anyway, I guess apparently they weren't supposed to get any type of damage and the hurricane maybe shifted. Did it shift?
It went east and right up to South Carolina.
So it went right towards his house. And I guess his truck that was parked in the driveway... first a tree, I guess, fell on their house and messed up like the roof, the house or whatever. And then I feel like he said that also it fell on a branch or something, fell on the truck, his truck in the driveway. And then he's driving his old beater truck to like do whatever he's got to do to work or whatever. And freaking tree falls
a branch
or something.
What kind of love
like either
is
falls
it?
On the truck or in the road and like hits the truck and he runs over it somehow.
Yeah.
And he was not supposed to have any hurricane damage.
Fortunately, no one was injured, but man,
So,
I was just like, man, he can't catch a break with this storm. It's crazy.
Yeah, I kind of chuckled because he used to say if it weren't for bad luck, he'd have no luck at all. And I'm like, I told Jackson, I said, well, this is his own fault because he keeps putting that into the universe. He has said that for way back when he and I were married. So Dennis, you got to quit saying that.
Yeah.
If you're listening.
Anyways.
If you're listening.
Seriously, prayers for everyone that was involved. I mean, there's a lot of damage, millions and millions and millions of dollars of damage and people without homes and cars and everything now. So. And
they're doing, locally, I know happy hour for sure. I haven't been on Facebook a ton. A lot of people are doing a lot of things to collect supplies to take to different areas. So that's fantastic.
Middle Georgia Roofing, shout out.
Yeah, and if you see me moving constantly, my hips are killing me.
Here's what I worry about
today.
is you like to talk with your hand. Just a second ago, you almost slapped me, by the way. You went like this. And who was it that was telling me about they were saying I was helping them with a video one time and almost, Stacy. Stacy used to tell me that when we used to do videos together, she used to be like, she'd be doing like this the whole time. You completely. I'm bad about that. I need to send her something about that. I hadn't thought about that in forever, but you almost just did that to me. But
sorry,
I am talent, so be careful.
My bad. So I don't think we ever, and maybe do we rewind to the whole? That's what was. I know we did something last week. You guys had the
Beat the City.
Was that last week?
Yeah, or the week before. I can't remember.
I think it was last week. Anyway, it was.
I think we're finalizing everything last week, and then that's when the hurricane came.
HRP's grand opening.
It was, that's right.
I don't know if did we talk about it?
I don't think so.
Did we talk about me going to buy corn? I won't ever volunteer to do that kind of stuff anymore.
So for Feed the City, which is one of the church organizations around here, they get together with a bunch of other churches, a bunch of other volunteers, and at Thanksgiving, I mean, they pack literally hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of bags, and people just drive through basically and pick it all up. But companies and businesses and individuals, they donate corn and turkeys and beans. So anyhow, this year we were asked to help with it, and we said we'll do corn. So our target was to raise 1,500 cans of corn. A lot of individuals participated. Some business owners really stepped in huge and participated. And Leanne,
and I volunteered to go get corn for people so that they could take it up because it was a challenge. You challenged them.
Leanne and I said we'll do the tortilla slap. I had never done it before because you've seen it on TikTok and everything else. And so I said basically for every 20 cans or if you donate at least 20 cans of corn, Leanne will get to slap me if you designate it to her. If you designated me, I get to slap her. Well, we ended up, anyhow, so it's not boring. She slapped me 5 good times and then I was going to slap her 1 good time. And I'm talking about I reared back. and you could hear like a silence in the room. Like, as I'm going, you could hear a pin drop.
I was like biting my nails.
And then I just went right over top of her head, and I'm like, I just couldn't do it. So then Reagan...
And everybody was like...
yeah, it was a gas. It really was. But so Reagan, a guy, he stepped in, he said, I'll do it for her. Reagan... I mean, his head just destroyed that.
It's like a cinder block. Like he didn't flinch.
Didn't move. I don't even think he blinked. I honestly don't even think he blinked.
But the practice one that you and Leanne did to do like the promo little video thing.
Didn't know what to expect.
She
slapped the shit out of me.
Slapped you silly.
Yeah,
I was a little concerned for you.
I was a little concussed. Hello, I had a concussion. I actually had a couple of concussions in high school.
I was so concerned that I made a slow-mo video of it and sent it to you guys.
The sound was really bad. It looked really. It honestly didn't really hurt. But the problem was I had my eyes closed because I didn't know what to expect. So I closed my eyes, and then you're just like waiting, and then won't. So when the eyes are open, it's not nearly as bad because you know what to expect.
Why would you have closed your eyes?
I don't know.
Just because you weren't.
I didn't know what to do. First time ever being slapped with a tortilla.
Anyway,
we reached the goal very quickly. So we put out a video. Some business owners stepped up huge, and we had
almost $1,000 donated. And I'm like, they were like, I can donate the money, but I can't go get it. And I was like, I'm free. I'll go get the corn or whatever. And $1,000 later of corn I'm supposed to be buying. I was like, this is not what I expected.
Yep. So I'm glad we were able to do that, and. We may even have a few dollars left over because we got to go get some more corn, but then we'll have those few dollars left over that we'll probably just call Feed the City and say, what else do you guys need?
Yeah.
So I'm awesome. So I appreciate you doing that. Thank you very much. That was huge.
You're welcome.
And Feed the City appreciates it.
I loaded up 500. What did I say? It was like 550 cans on my own into the Jeep.
Yeah.
So. And then when we got there, I got in individual cans. So you open the back to the Jeep and it's just like, blah, 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 blah. It just all started falling out. I was like, that maybe wasn't a good thing to do.
Yeah.
But, so I think that was probably the only thing we had going on, I think, last week.
Yeah, that sounds about right. Again, we kind of all just paused for a few days because of the storm coming in. We didn't know what to expect and everything else, so.
Yeah, it was definitely, everybody was on high alert, and thankfully in our area, we didn't get anything. So it was a little, there's probably some disappointment for some people that, filled up their bathtubs with water or did these stupid TikTok things like, Lauren showed me one tonight where they were filling up their washer with ice, putting drinks, like water and drinks and whatever, and fill up the washer with ice. And I'm like, really?
I mean, I guess they don't have coolers like we do. I don't know.
I don't know. So,
because that is the one thing. If shit hits the fan, we good on coolers. We can go get ice.
We are good on coolers. Now we probably will have not gone to get ice to put in the coolers, but we got coolers.
By the time we go get ice,
we also will not have bread, which is fine for me because I don't really. I mean, I guess I could eat a peanut butter and jelly, but not.
We would survive.
My preparations were I started saving our leftovers.
Hold on. Plus,
nothing else. I can stick those on the Blackstone.
Dad bought me one of those apocalypse kits. It's in the attic. They dried food and all this. They're supposed to last for like 50 years.
Really?
I think. We'll check the shelf life, but I think that it's supposed to last a long time.
We do need to look.
Probably
at
in like perfect conditions. In the attic is probably not a perfect condition.
It's probably not.
But push comes to shove, we would break open some dried bananas or whatever's in there.
I can't. Let's pray to God.
I got to talk to Johnny K about
zombie apocalypse does not happen. I don't have to resort to that. That would be bad.
If you're from Warner Robins, especially like the south side of Warner Robins, 96 area, have you guys seen the apocalypse? I mean, the zombie truck that's driving around? I thought for sure he would be advertising like a haunted house or something, but I don't think he is. But it is badass. But let me warn you. You'll see it in the back. There's these zombies in cages and your hand coming out. Let me warn you. If you pull up next to them on the passenger side, there is a creepy ass baby looking. I couldn't even get past the baby. I don't even know if it's a mom or somebody holding it, but it looks and the baby's like this right here. It's freaky. I'm just telling you, don't let your kids look over there. They're not going to be able to sleep.
I don't do
But
scary
it's cool.
stuff like
I just
that.
wonder, do they leave it like that all year round? He's got decals and stick. I mean,
I don't.
it looks like he does.
You're just now starting to see it, so
That's
either
true.
I don't know.
That's true.
Maybe they just moved in town, or
This will be the reticular
activating
Yeah,
system.
now that we're talking about
You'll
it.
see zombie apocalypse
Yeah,
cars
it is
everywhere
pretty
you
cool.
go.
It's pretty cool.
So we did host our first football party
Of the year.
of the year, and
We've
it will
hosted plenty.
be our last.
Absolutely.
Never again to have people over.
After the first half, I was
And-
like,
and why
this
is
is
that?
the last time we're ever having people over for the game. Georgia versus Alabama. Georgia they just got whooped the first half. It was brutal. Alabama played exceptional in the first half, and Georgia just could not get anything going.
It was tough. It was tough to watch.
And Georgia's, historically a second half team, but when you're down, what was it, 30-7, I think, going into halftime, and when you're down like that, it's like, oh, geez, like I don't know that anybody can come back. Alabama could come back from that because they have.
Yeah.
But I didn't know that Georgia could, and man, the dogs just kept fighting in the second half, and. But
it wasn't until after everybody left.
Yeah, most of our friends left at halftime.
Because it was,
So
we're not nighttime drinkers.
Katie and Sean stuck around.
Katie
Our friends are not nighttime drinkers.
No.
Like 7:30 game, we knew it was going to happen.
Everybody dipped. By halftime, everybody was gone.
So Katie and Sean are there, and then the dogs start coming back. And I sent a video to our friend group and just went ape shit.
And if it
You're
weren't,
never coming back to my fucking house again. Just going crazy. I was so freaking hyped. And then we got let down again with their last touchdown. But, I think most people would agree, most Georgia fans would agree that even though we lost, just that fight in the second half was pretty awesome.
yeah, it was much better than the first.
When here's the thing, now that there's going to be a 12-team playoff, like that loss early in the year to an Alabama I don't want to say it doesn't mean anything, but it's not nearly like losing at the end.
Right.
We still got Texas and we still got Tennessee, but we still got some pretty good competition out there. But I think if we can finish the year with one, maybe two losses, we probably still got a chance to get in the top 12.
And listen, I'm not a football person. I'm not a football analyst. However, I do watch the games with you, and I could tell a difference. Like, this is not a normal Kirby team, I feel like. I feel like they are not as disciplined as they have been in the past, nor as big.
Well, they're not as big, especially on the defensive line.
Yeah.
But I think the other day, when you say discipline, what you're seeing is defensive backs making mistakes and our defense not tackling.
Yeah,
Like since Kirby has gotten there, we're going to tackle. We're tackling like the damn Florida Gators right now.
Yeah.
And that's a huge part of it too. But no, you're right about it. Georgia's still a young team now, and I know it's always like, well, okay, well.
When you say a young team, what does that mean?
You got freshmen and sophomores playing.
Okay.
Yeah,
how about that 17-year-old on Alabama?
Unbelievable, Williams.
Kidding me?
Yeah. He's a freak of nature because he's not even a big dude.
No, he's not.
I think they said he's like
is a
170
freaking
pounds.
athlete.
Yeah, man, he was a freaking stud.
Anyway.
Honestly, that was kind of cool to watch. To think about I was a junior in high school at 17.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
I can't imagine. But anyway, so the game ended up being good at the end, like the last quarter, really.
Half.
Like we were freaking going crazy, like jumping up and down, screaming, you sending stupid videos. And then we, still a little disappointed, but hell, better than it was the first half. You'd rather lose like that than lose like you did in the first half.
If you all you have is one bad half in a season, like who can complain about that?
Well, they didn't do great against Kentucky either, so they got more than one bad half.
Okay.
But anyway, we're not a sports podcast. Why are we talking about this? Y'all, my hips are
Pat
hurting
McAfee, call me.
so badly.
Hey, Kelsey Brothers, call me.
Right, please do. Please call him. God almighty, my hips have been hurting.
No one gives a shit about your hips.
They do. They care.
Stay
They care.
right.
They care because they also their hip
Perimenopause.
Exactly. Their hips are also hurting, and I'm wondering.
Perimenopause.
I'm starting to wonder: is it perimenopause or is it like arthritis?
It's arthritis. It's
And
called.
my hips
It's
to
called.
hurt this
if,
badly?
If I don't go to the gym
Oh
every
my
day,
fucking A! It's not have anything to do with the gym. It does not.
what do you think prevents arthritis?
Kent, it has nothing to do with the gym. I have gone to the gym. I have had this pain for a solid year. Going to the gym during the times that I was going to the gym did not keep this pain from happening. So shut the fuck up. It is not about the gym.
Okay. Keep telling yourself that. But you did trim bushes today too, so that could be why it's more sore today.
I have taken.
It's arthritis for sure.
Yeah, I took ibuprofen and Tylenol the other night because they were hurting so badly. Both of them, the left and the right. Normally it's just the right, but it was left and the right.
Do you need one of those sleeping urine pillows like I have?
Maybe. I don't know.
I bet you couldn't use it.
I probably not. I think I toss and turn too much.
Yeah.
Anyway, we digress. So we were going to actually talk about, I'm going to go ahead and put a trigger warning in right here because we are going to be talking about a sensitive subject and where it's fertility. And we're talking about, when we got Blakely, there was so much more to it than just getting a dog. And so we've kind of alluded to it. And I think, not even alluded to it. We've said it several times about, fertility. We're going to talk about our fertility journey, blah, 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 blah. And we never have. And you keep bringing it up. And I'm like, okay, let's just talk about it then. Daggone. So
I think it's important. And it's an important part of our relationship.
It is. I just wasn't necessarily prepared at 9 o'clock, now 10 o'clock at night.
We're here now.
To talk about it. But
YOLO.
Here we are. So that baby girl right back there. Now she looking a little homely right now.
Listen.
She needs a bath.
We have got to show a picture of her parents.
I will absolutely show the picture of her parents.
Her mom
looked like
ugly
a
bitch.
crack horse.
She is an ugly bitch. I said bitch, not bitch.
She is a biche. She is an ugly biche.
And had we seen the pictures of the parents beforehand,
we never would have gotten Blakely.
Wouldn't have bought her.
Never.
Even though Blakely's eyes looked at me on that internet, we locked eyes. I still would have said your mom's too ugly. Because I wouldn't date a girl who had an ugly mom. I'm sorry.
Oh.
Birdie's pretty.
Okay.
Birdie's pretty. That's right.
Glad you said that.
Yeah.
So anyway, Blakely, so I guess we just have to rewind. So I don't even know how many years ago this was. I'm guessing 12 years ago.
Yeah.
That seems about right.
Maybe.
So about 12 years ago, we would have been married, 4 years at that point? Well, first of all, when we first got together, before we even got married, you had pretty much said you didn't want to try for kids. You were not interested in having more kids. Do you recall that?
I don't know that I said that I wasn't interested and that I didn't want to. What I probably said, or at least what I think I probably said, was that I'm not like Jones into. Like if we had one, that's great. If we didn't, then that's fine too. Like it.
Agree to disagree.
Okay.
Because it wasn't if we have one, because we were definitely taking precautions not to have one. So that was not, those words did not come out of your mouth.
It was a double negative. We were taking precautions not to have one. So we were trying. We weren't not trying.
We were taking precautions so that we did not get pregnant.
Okay. I follow you.
So that statement you just said doesn't make sense. So you from the beginning.
Because you're saying that we were actively trying to prevent one.
Correct.
Okay.
So you were never, if it happens, it happens. That's not your statement.
Well, okay, so that's fair. Just because we're taking steps to not have one doesn't. I mean, people do that all the time, and stuff happens.
No, not me. No.
Okay. Well, I'm just saying. But anyhow, I wasn't like gung ho about having another kid.
You didn't want to try,
no.
right? You didn't want to try for a baby with me. This could go down a bad road right now. You realize that, right?
This is our life.
So, and I don't know that we've really ever talked about this in great detail, because when things happened, you kind of were like, yeah, it's done. It's over. Move on with life. Anyway, so you were not interested in having a baby with me. You already had a child. I already had a child. We had his and hers. We had basically decided that we weren't going to try for one of our own. So 4 years into our marriage, I really don't remember what caused you to feel differently, but you did for some reason. And you were like, okay, sure, we can try. We can try to have a baby. Do you remember that?
Yes.
Okay, so I'm like over the moon, ecstatic, like so happy, because I don't think and maybe it's not this way so much for men, but like for me, like getting married to you, and like you were the guy, like you were what I've always wanted in a husband and a partner, and what I would have wanted so badly to have in a baby daddy, for lack of better words. My first go around was not what I had hoped for, which I knew that was going to happen. Like I knew this person was not my person. And I basically got married to get out of my parents' house. And then I knew that I wanted somebody to love, and that somebody was going to be a child. And so I had a baby, and I knew that marriage was not going to last. And I knew he was not the person who was going to be the doting father that made, we just weren't going to be that unit, that family unit that I had hoped for, longed for, or whatever. And so it wasn't, obviously. And so when I met you and when I fell in love with you and I married you, like that's what I wanted. I was dreaming of having that experience with you. So that's why I wanted to try for a baby. So we did try. This has been 12 years ago, so I'm a little fuzzy on all the details, so you guys bear with me. But so the first time we tried, we got pregnant pretty quickly, I think. And I had been on birth control. Gosh, Jackson was, if it was 12 years ago, what's 12 years ago from now? I don't know what year that is. 2012.
Yeah.
So Jackson would have been 11-ish,
Yeah.
almost 12. And so I had been on birth control for like 11 straight years. And so, you never really know what's going to happen with your body. So come off that and decide to try. We do get pregnant and everything seems good. And I'm feeling it. Like I can feel like my body feels different. And so, you set your appointment with your gynecologist to go, at basically around the 6-week time frame for them to, do the test and like do a first sonogram and like, listen to the heartbeat and all that good stuff. So you go with me, of course.
Yeah.
And a week or two before, I could tell that I felt differently. But it's one of those things that you don't really think about a whole lot until after the fact. But while we were in there and they were doing the sonogram, when they did the sonogram, they realized that there was no heartbeat and this was not a viable pregnancy. And I had to wasn't that the first one? The first one was an immediate.
Yeah.
The first one was just a regular DNC. And so...
You know what I remember from that?
What?
I remember sitting next to you and not really knowing what I was looking at. Uh-huh. And you and the nurse, midwife, whatever she was, you and the nurse looked at each other and y'all were speaking a language without saying a word. She knew what she was looking at. You knew what she was looking at, and I didn't. And I remember being excited, and then I think you looked over at me and said, no, it's not good or whatever. And I just like I didn't know, you know what I mean? But I can remember that like it was yesterday. Just the two of you just had a language that y'all were speaking that I wasn't speaking.
Well, so the way I remember it is that she wasn't really very comforting in just flat out saying there's no heartbeat.
Yeah.
I mean, it was just very cold, I feel like, and not sympathetic at all. And I get that she probably, does hundreds and thousands of these, a year. But I feel like if you're in that kind of position, you need to be extremely mindful and understanding, regardless of what your day is. I don't care how bad of a day you are having. You are telling somebody that likely this might be their first time, this might be their 8th time, this might be the last time they ever could try. You need to understand that and be extremely caring and have a lot of concerns and, just a bedside manner that goes above and beyond. That's my opinion. That's how I feel about that. Because when you are expecting and wanting that, and then you hear that, you know, I'm sorry, this is not going to happen. That's devastating. It is. There's just no other word I can really think to put to it, to describe it besides, you know, just absolutely devastating. Is devastating. And I just immediately started I just busted into tears and immediately started crying. And so because I had not actually miscarried, I had to go, you know, schedule a DNC, and they went in and, you know, cleaned everything out. And, you know, then you have to wait. I don't even know how many, you know, how many months they want you to wait before you try again. And so we're like, okay, so we try again. And again, I'm a little confused on all the order, but I think the next one was, we got pregnant again finally. And then the next one was I think the ectopic rupture. I'm not
That was the painful one?
That was, oh yeah.
Yeah.
So, and I had no clue. I didn't know that. I really didn't even, I'd never thought anything about it. And honestly, like, you know, once you've had one miscarriage, it's not like they say, okay, you're high risk and we're going to like really look at everything. If you've not had any kind of a history like this, and this is just a one time, they're like, you know, it's probably just, you know, it happens. Just try again. Don't worry about it. Everything's going to be fine. Well, it wasn't, because this time it was it was an ectopic rupture. And so for those of you that maybe aren't familiar with that, that's where you, the embryo is, has not moved out of your, fallopian tube, and it is growing there in the fallopian tube. And so this one, and it was just it's the worst pain I've ever had in my entire life for anything.
And you're tough physically when it comes to like pain tolerance and all this stuff. You're a very, very tough person. And so I remember you just being bent over in excruciating pain. And of course, you know, the first thing that comes to my mind is appendix, you know, because it's right there in that area.
Yeah,
it's like, hey, well, let's rush you to the emergency room.
Yeah.
They're going to take your appendix out. And then, of course, we found out that that's not
well.
what it
And
was.
I think we didn't even realize. I didn't realize I was pregnant at that point.
Yeah.
Like I wasn't anticipating that or whatever. And so it just didn't dawn on me that could be a thing. And yeah, it was. And I think that was when a snowstorm hit.
Yeah, I remember that.
And we ended up going to the emergency room because we had no idea. Like, it is the worst pain I've ever felt in my entire life. And it's so painful because it's internal bleeding, and which can be very dangerous.
Isn't that crazy how that causes pain, though?
It really
it's like
is.
Your body's made to
It
let
is.
you know
And
that.
you know,
but
we have a friend who described the pain that he was having, and as soon as he started describing it, I knew immediately. I'm
internal
like,
bleeding.
there's internal bleeding there. There's no other way that you're having this kind of pain if it's not for something like that. So anyway, went to the emergency room. Well, I mean, it's just, timing is horrible. It just sucks. So it was during a freaking snowstorm. So nobody wants to be there. We have no idea what's causing this pain. So they're running a few tests here and there. Well, they decide, you know, send her back. Let's do an ultrasound. Well, and I'm like, you know, I don't think I'm pregnant, whatever. And so they had to call the ultrasound tech in to be able to do it, and she was pissed.
You want to talk about terrible bedside manners?
She was pissed.
Had that happened, like the way I think about things now,
Yes,
I would have lost it.
Yes,
I don't know that I was.
Have.
Yeah, I don't know that I was old enough
it.
or really mature enough or really understood. But if they had treated you like way now, I would have been arrested. I would have left in handcuffs.
She was so pissed, and she she couldn't find anything vaginally, so she was trying to do it. She did a regular sonogram, which is just putting it like on your stomach or whatever. And I'm talking, she was like pressing and grinding and pushing in. And she was just pissed. And you could hear, I mean, her tone of voice, her face, like everything. And then she ended up doing the vaginally. She's like, I don't see anything. You're not pregnant, blah, blah, blah. And I went, okay, well, whatever. And so they couldn't do anything for me. They gave me morphine. It didn't touch the pain, didn't do anything. So they sent me home. And so I decided, I think that was probably on a Sunday. And so I ended up calling out of work and went to my gyno on Monday. They do a vaginal, and immediately they're like, you've had an ectopic rupture. And you have immediately going to the hospital, going into surgery. And so I'm like, okay. So I didn't really see that one coming. So that one kind of took me by surprise. And so, they take your fallopian, say that 3 times fast. They take your tube, your fallopian tube. And so now once I'm done with that surgery, then I only have 1 tube left. And the chances of getting pregnant with 1 tube are not great. And I think ectopic ruptures are not even, I don't know how common they are, but my mom had one before. I think it was in between me and my brother. I think she had one. Anyway, and so let's see. So that, we've probably gone through a year at that point of trying. And then the next time I was able to get pregnant, kind of surprised by it. That was a regular miscarriage. I just had a regular, I was pregnant for half a second, and then it's freaking Easter. I don't know what it is with
I feel like you went to the bathroom or something.
I did. Yeah, I went to the bathroom and I had started bleeding, and so I knew at that point that it was not going to work out. And so
isn't that crazy? Like, they just came to me, you know what I mean? Like, I haven't thought about that in years, and then it's
surprising
just like
that you knew that.
It was like right here, like it happened yesterday.
But that was Easter, and we're going over where we had done Easter for years and years. And I had to just kind of pretend like, everything's fine, everything's fine, knowing good and well I'm like dying on the inside, like it's not fine, this is not okay. I'm like so hard emotionally to cope and deal with all that, but not really tell anybody what's going on. So then the next one was the final one, and that one, which was probably the most devastating, because that one ended up in an ectopic rupture as well. And when I started feeling the pain for that one, I knew immediately. At that point, we knew what that meant. And so went to the doctor, and they, did the ultrasound, and they're like, the tough thing about this one is that this one still had a heartbeat, but it was in fact growing in the tube. And maybe this one wasn't a rupture. Maybe this one was an actual, okay, let me rewind, because this one didn't actually rupture. I found out I was pregnant, took the test, everything's good. Set it up to go to the doctor again, went for an ultrasound. And when we go to the ultrasound this time at 6 weeks, which I knew my body didn't feel right. It didn't feel the same as it did the first time I was pregnant. It didn't start, having those changes to your body, like, your breast kind of, being tender and like swelling and things like that. So I knew it wasn't quite right. But I had been taking the test, and it said that I was pregnant, didn't have my period, whatever. And so I went, and when they did the ultrasound on that one, they're like, there was a heartbeat, but this one was actually growing in the tube. So it had not ruptured yet, but it was in the tube.
They had to go take it out and cut your tube out, I think.
Yeah, so it was, they didn't, I suppose I had the option to just let it go and see if maybe there's any possibility that it moved through the fallopian tube. But the doctor was like, that's just unheard of. Yeah. What's going to happen is this one's going to rupture, and you're going to be back here, and we're going to have to do an emergency surgery again. Like, this is not a viable pregnancy. This is not going to work. And that one was really tough for me on so many levels, because one, there was a heartbeat. So it's just like, are you kidding? Like, I have an actual heartbeat. Something is growing inside of me. And two, like, I'm fixing to go into surgery, and they're going to take out my other tube. And now I have no more options on being able to get pregnant normally, the normal route. And so that was tough too. So, anyway, so after that all happened is when I was like, okay, so I have no tubes anymore. The only other options are going to be like in vitro.
IVF, yeah.
In vitro. And I wanted to try that, but you had taken a position in DC, a rotation in DC, and I still wanted to go ahead and try it, and you were like, no, we are not doing that when I'm not here in the same state as you. And that was into conversation. Do you recall that?
I do. And I think that there were really kind of two things. And of course, hindsight's always 20/20. At this stage, I wish we would have, I wish I would have acted different or responded different or whatever, because at this stage, I think I would have done whatever it would have taken, but then it's like, you're younger, you're kind of in your career, and it's like, I think it was a $10,000 procedure that may or may not work.
Shoot, no, it was way more than that.
But I think that, in the back of my mind, I'm thinking, okay, if it was 100%, we'll absolutely get pregnant. It'll be successful and everything else. But there was no guarantee of that. And there was no guarantee. I mean, we had already been pregnant 4 times at that point. And there was no, guarantee that there's not going to be something else happen. And just the idea of, God, what if we spend 10, 15, whatever thousands of dollars it was and nothing happens? Like, the thought of that just, I think, overwhelmed me. And then, that I always feel like, things happen for a reason. And I had this sense or this thought that if it was meant to be, it was meant to be. And unfortunately it wasn't.
I did not have that same thought.
Yeah.
And I don't know that we really ever talked about it after that one conversation. So it was very hurtful to me at that time in our life. It was something that I wanted so very badly to do with you, and I did not get to. And
I think that it took me years to understand why. Because in your mind, Jackson was yours, Lauren was mine, but we didn't have anything
yes,
together.
and we didn't. And I don't care how much you say, you can blended family can be a family. It was not the same. I wanted to go through a pregnancy with you. I wanted to have a baby with you. I didn't have a baby anymore. I mean, Jackson was 5 by the time you came into the picture, and, I didn't get to experience that, 0 through 5, those things with somebody that I truly loved and cared about. And I really wanted to do that. And, it was, so I put it out of my mind. I pushed it down and I kept on moving. And,
well, listen, I know it's years later, and
I really didn't expect to get
emotional
about this.
Girl, are you serious?
Yeah, really seriously.
And I know that it doesn't change anything, but I'm sorry. Literally from the bottom of my heart, I'm sorry.
So, fast forward.
I would venture to say, you're a journaler. I don't know if y'all know that about Annie. She's a journaler. I would be willing to bet that if someone were to go back and look in your journal, you've probably written about this topic more than anything else. Would you say?
It was it was, I mean, I don't know. I don't know. It was very hard because there were several things like, your ex-wife was, she ended up getting pregnant right after like all of this happened. And I couldn't get pregnant. And so that was just a reminder because, Lauren was very excited about having a baby sister. And, so we heard all about that. So that was hard to go through. And I know that, I wasn't as...
It was hard for you to be excited for Lauren.
Yes, it was. It was very hard. So I do have regrets about that. But it was a very difficult situation. And, geez. And not only that, freaking doctor that performed the final one was not my regular OB. He was out when this happened. He wasn't on call or whatever. And so it was one of the other doctors in the practice that did the final surgery. And he said something to you that caused a fight between us that was completely unprofessional, completely unnecessary, and so hurtful to, on top of everything else, to then put thoughts into your head that made you think like this was my fault somehow. So...
Well, and I won't say...
That was very hard as well.
I won't say what the doctor said, but basically, he and I were having a conversation, and I was like, well, like, what causes this? Like, why does this continue to happen? And he basically gave 3 or 4 reasons just completely nonchalantly. And again, this is the first time I've ever...
Just say it. He said because of it could be, has she had a lot of sexual partners?
Yeah, it could be this, it could be that, it could be the number of people that she's been with, and that just, you know, I think that's always been in the back of my, because Andy has been with more people than I've been with. I recognize that I'm probably on the lower side, maybe not even the average, and that's fine. But I think that's something that in the back of my mind has crept in from time to time. And of course, we've been together so long now, it doesn't really matter. But I think at the beginning that was somewhat difficult for me to accept, if for lack of better words. But then when he said that, it just kind of maybe triggered me a little bit. And you know, when I shared that with Annie, of course, her mind immediately goes to, so you're blaming it on me, or I feel like you're saying it's my fault, and I don't think I was. I mean, I can't recall the exact conversation. That was not my intent to say this was your fault, but by sharing what the doctor said to me, I think any reasonable person, me or her, you know, that's going to creep in your head, and right or wrong, the doctor I think was in the wrong, and I wish I would have handled it differently. I mean, there's so many things at 40, I guess 46 now. There's so many things that I would do differently and say differently and act differently. And I mean, I can't turn back the clock. I mean, but we would have been great parents together. I would have been a really good dad.
You are a really good dad. And I knew you were a really good dad. And so that's why I wanted that so badly. And so
now we have Blakely.
Yeah.
And now we have Lincoln.
So fast forward a long time, and you know, everything does happen for a reason. Everything is meant to happen the way that it's meant to happen. At this point, we would have like a 12-year-old, and our life would be completely different. It would be fantastic, but it would be very different. And things wouldn't have happened probably the way things did happen. I probably wouldn't have had the store. If that were the case, I don't think I think so many things would have been, like, the trajectory of life would have been so completely different. And you know, good, not good or bad. It's just, you know, would have been different. And so anyway, when we did have, okay, so Blakely. So the way Blakely came about is your relationship with Lauren was strained, and it was strained for a very long time. And it was, I don't even remember how many months at this point it was. It had to have been probably 5, I'm guessing. 4 or 5 or something like this, to a point where it was zero communication. It was strained before. It was strained a couple of years leading up to that. And then
there was a period in time where you had gone for, at this point, 4 months for sure.
But it ended up being a total of 8 or 9 months.
Yeah, it ended up being 9 months. But at that point, it was like 4 months with zero contact. She had completely cut you, us, everyone out of her life. She didn't communicate.
She even cut Jackson out.
Yeah, she wouldn't communicate with Jackson, not me, not you, no one on this side of your family she would communicate with. Not call, not text, blocked on everything. And it was, and the 2 to 3 years leading up to that, it was very strenuous also. And so it was taking a toll on you, and you were a shell of who you are. And I could see it, everyone could see it, and it was really tough. And so you've always wanted, she's back there scraping on the thing.
I feel like I can hear it, so I don't know if they're going to be able to hear it or not, but
they'll definitely be able to hear it. You've always wanted a dog, and I'm like, no, because one, I'm very allergic, and because being allergic just causes me to not want to be around animals. It's not that I don't like animals. It just is hard for me. One, I can't breathe. Like, it causes my asthma to flare up to where I'm constantly taking my inhaler. I cannot breathe. And it's any animal. It's not just dogs, but I can't ride horses. I can't be.
She won't let me get a monkey.
I can't go to the fair, go to the animal barn. So I've just not been a big animal person. Never have been growing up, and not now. But with all this going on, I'm like, okay, his heart needs this. His heart absolutely needs this. And so one day I was like, okay, I think we should get a dog. And you're like, what? Are you kidding me? And I'm like, nope, not kidding. Let's look. And we start looking and talking about, it would have to be hypoallergenic, and
size and want to have it at the store.
Yeah, needs to be a small dog because it's going to be at the store, and obviously because it's going to be a store dog, it needs to be a girl, which I think he wanted a girl anyway, so it wouldn't have mattered. And that's how Blakely came into our lives, and we just started looking. And man, when I don't know, did you find her or did I find her?
I found her.
So you must have looked through hundreds of dogs.
Easy. I'm not even when I say 1,000 dogs, not exaggerating. And there was a period of weeks where, I was like,
you were all in immediately, and so when you found her, it was literally like the picture. There was no more looking, no more talking about it. And her name, they had even named her Blakely on the site. So when we saw her, it was just like, she looks like a Blakely. We don't even need to rename her. Like, that's our dog. That's our baby girl. And that's really how we treated her. Like I did. I don't know if you did. First of all, I didn't know what to expect. And we went to pick her up. And oh my God, when we first got her, like, you held her first, because I'm like, this is what he needs. Hopefully this is going to help heal some of your heart. And so you held her first, and you didn't cry, but I think you might have teared up a little bit. She was so tiny. Yeah. She was because we were so worried, because pictures, she looked like she was going to be big.
Ugly. She looked like she was going to be ugly too.
She did not. You loved the picture of her. And so we went and got her, and man, it was it was pretty immediate. Like, I didn't have an awkward, I don't really know what to do with this dog. It was pretty immediate of, I love this little dog. I love this little dog from the get-go. And, and I think probably just the leading up to it, the picking out, getting her collar and getting like her dog bowl and her leash and things like that together. And we got her a little, I got her a bag with her name on it to carry her everywhere. And just picking out these things it really was the baby that we didn't get to have. And I didn't realize it when I said, you need a dog. Like, that never crossed my mind. But man, when we got her, I did not know. When I say, I probably said in another podcast, like, I didn't know that my heart needed it. I truly did not know that my heart needed her so badly. Like, it literally healed a part of me that I kind of had pushed down and forgotten that was broken. And I literally did not know how much I needed her. So.
Well, and I think it's important.
That's why we are such crazy dog
Well, and
parents.
that's what I was going to say is I think it's important for people to understand. I mean, people that are dog people, you know why you're dog people. Like, there's an unconditional love that just cannot be replaced. But I think it's important for people to understand, like, this is why we are the way we are about these dogs. And I mean, so I immediately fell in love. Annie immediately fell in love. Jackson, who was like, if y'all don't bring a big dog home, I'm not going to play with him.
She's ugly. She's not going to be cute.
He immediately fell in. But wait till you see your mom. Ugly bitch. She is an ugly bitch. But anyhow, so you kind of fast forward and we get Lincoln, and so this period of time goes by, about 9 months, where Lauren and I mean, literally zero communication. And Lauren and I have always had, I don't know if challenging is the right word, or difficult or whatever, because like the way she was raised by her mom is complete, like affection and at words of affirmation and stuff like that. Like, her mom is completely different than I am when it comes to that. And
you believe heavily in all of that. You're a very affectionate person.
I'm proud of you. I love you.
Yeah.
Hugging, that kind of thing. And so, and Lauren, I mean, full transparent. I mean, Lauren has basically been told her entire life, I'm a shitty dad.
Yeah.
I mean, that's all there is to it. And we can go into a lot more detail, but it's not necessary. But just that's the way she was. That's what she was told her entire life. No matter what I did, it was never good enough. It was blah blah blah. So anyhow. So when Lauren moves back from college, she comes home from college, and her mom get into an argument, and I have not had any communication at all with Lauren for 9 months. I mean, I'm trying to text, call, email, TikTok, everything under the sun to try to have some connection with her, and it just wasn't happening.
You even wrote her a letter and went over and put it in the mailbox.
Yeah. And so Lauren, I think, calls me or texts me or something and said,
no, it was Johnny K. This all happened through Johnny K.
Okay. But anyway, I guess my dad
long story short.
Long story short, Lauren was coming to live with us. And it's completely out of the blue. And I'm like, what are you talking about? Well, the next thing you know,
I need to move in. Okay. No questions asked. Come on.
And so then,
or we'll come get
Lauren and her mom show up at my front door, suitcase packed. And of course, like Annie said, no questions asked. Come in. We'll figure out. It doesn't matter. You're here, you're back in my life, whatever you need, kind of thing. And like, when I tell you, like, you go 9 months without talking to your kid, and it just, it tears you up in ways that you will never, ever be able to understand. And if you're a parent, and let's say that you have a split family or whatever, you need to understand the impact of the words that you say to those kids and the things that you do. And whether or not you think they're listening or not listening, they are listening.
They are listening.
I can promise you that. When you're talking to your friends, they are listening. When you're talking to your siblings, they are listening. When you're talking to coworkers, they are listening. And they start to believe this stuff that they hear their entire lives. So just be mindful of that. I know it's hard. I know there's so many times where you might be angry and you might be frustrated, you might be upset, but you can't. You just can't. So anyhow, I remember saying to Lauren when she moved in, we had Blakely and Lincoln at the time. I said, you're going to fall in love with these dogs. And Lauren was not a hugger. Like literally when I would come to hug her, she would,
Yeah.
this and that. I mean, just her entire life has always been like that.
And she's still not really like.
But she doesn't stop me
She
anymore.
doesn't stop you anymore.
Yeah, yeah, because then now it's like a thing. Like if she's sitting, I'm gonna come up from behind and I'm gonna hug her. Used to it would be pushing me away and yelling. I mean, just it was so unreceived. But I told her, I said, these dogs are gonna end up getting into your heart, and she was like, no, they're not. No, they're not. No, and it probably took a few weeks, I'm guessing, but now like. She still didn't pick up their poop, but other than that,
which is why she can't have her own dog.
Other than that, like you have just seen a different person in Lauren. I mean, when she gets home, she's excited. She wants to talk to us. I mean, she talks nonstop.
Oh my gosh,
Andy and I are looking at each other like, dude, shut up. No, but like the level of attention, the level wanted to be around us, the level of, I mean, we're going to a party and she's like, can I go with y'all? We're like, yeah, sure.
She
we're going out to
she
eat. Can I
tagged
go with you
along.
guys? Yeah.
That we did go do something Friday night. She tagged along, and then she wanted to paint pumpkins. So I'm like, okay, we're gonna all family get together and paint pumpkins, and people can vote on it.
And Jackson and Ashley come over and let's hang out, and I mean, she gets up in the morning. Very first thing she does is come to see the dog. She gets home. She wants to see the dog. She walks out to her car to move her car. She's taking the dogs with them to get, So it's, I guess the point being is these dogs were for me and Annie.
They've healed a lot.
They've healed so much.
They've healed a lot.
They've healed a lot. And I'm sure that most people that have dogs have probably experienced something like this, but when you think we're crazy dog people, we are. We are crazy dog people, but there's a reason why we're crazy dog people, and it's because they, without question, have healed something that was missing between me and Annie, and something that was missing between me and Lauren, and honestly, something that was missing between Annie and Lauren. And I would even venture to say, me and Jackson. You know what I'm saying? There was something that we were able to bond over as well. And of course, they have dogs now, and we love their dogs. And so it's just it's a really special thing in our family. And I know it sounds stupid, I know it sounds crazy, but yeah. So that's why we are the way we are.
Well, that's
these
why
are our babies.
That's why we are crazy about these babies.
These are our babies.
Yeah.
So
for sure. So.
This is our longest episode.
That is our longest episode. I
Yeah.
hope people hung in, and I don't know about y'all, but my mascara is like all over my face now. So there's that.
But I love you. I love you more than anything in the world, and from the bottom of my heart, I'm truly sorry that I didn't do things differently when maybe there was an opportunity to. You never know what would have happened, but
Well, I appreciate that.
I'm sorry.
I was a different person back then. If it were today, I mean, I would have been screaming from the rooftop, what I wanted. But back then it was different. So,
Yeah.
But I love you, and, you are a great dad. You're a great real dad. You're a great, really, really great dog dad. So.
You're a really great mom too.
I try, but I'm still.
And you're an incredible wife.
You're a really good husband.
Your hair looks good. No, I'm just teasing. All right. Anything else? We good?
Oh God, no. I think we got to stop for today.
Okay. Love you guys.
All
Thank
right.
you.
I hope you guys
hope you hung in with us.
a fantastic week. I hope you hung in there. I hope this was helpful to you. I know that there are a lot of you out there that have been through this same situation that are our age, and maybe not even have spoken about it with other people, because it like the kids these days, I feel like, I didn't even understand or know what the whole rainbow baby thing was until I saw somebody post it, and on Facebook one day, and I'm like, we just didn't do that. That wasn't the way. I feel like you just didn't really talk about it, and I still don't necessarily talk about it. Like if somebody asks me, I'll, give them my experience or, give them some hope. But I don't necessarily I'm not shouting it from the rooftops of, listen to me and listen to my story.
My response for years, people were like, when you're going to have a kid, I would always say, we tried, it just wasn't in the cards.
And that's always, and that's difficult too. That's very difficult it's not difficult for me anymore. Like, I'm just like, that factory shut down, didn't work out. That's why we got, these babies back here. And it doesn't, I don't get sad or anything like that from that conversation, but it is for some people very difficult to talk about that.
But I do want to add, not to cut you off, but if you're in a relationship and you guys have experienced this, y'all please make sure you're talking to each other.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Because there's a lot of resentment that can happen from that and how it could possibly all be handled. There's a lot of feelings involved. And for husbands, you have no idea what it's like because you don't have that life growing inside of you. And for women that do feel that, you gotta, be vocal and say what you're feeling, because if you do bottle it up, I mean, you don't want to be 12 years down the road and just talking about it for the first time and, possibly start saying things that, you might regret later. So I hope that you can talk about it. I hope you can share it with other people, because I think the more that you talk about it, I think it is helpful for other people to hear these things and know that they're not alone, that they're not the only ones possibly going through a situation like this, or had gone through a situation like that. And for those that are young that are listening and haven't ever been through this, I'm so glad that you haven't. But if you are young and you have, just know there's so many options out there. Don't be afraid to go seek those kind of resources and seek out people to help you through it, for sure. Because there definitely a ton of resources out there now.
Yep.
So, all right. Woo. Okay. Well, we love you guys so much. We are going to wrap it up for this week, but we appreciate you listening every single week and hanging in with us. We will be back next week. And I think maybe we'll try to do something fun next week.
Yeah,
I think we're going to be getting into October, and so I have a couple things planned that I want to talk about.
We're
for
gonna show
October.
our Halloween costumes, whatever. All right, love you guys.
All right, love you guys. Bye. Thank y'all so much for tuning in today. We hope that you really enjoyed this episode. If you did, please give us a rate and review. We would love that so much. It helps push the podcast out to other people that would like to listen to it. So we really appreciate that, y'all. And we love you so, so much. Bye.